Okay, so we're standing here on the corner of Commerce and Bedford Streets here in the West Village, and we're looking across at 75 and a half. If you notice, it's a little narrow, might be a little tight for the kind of living that you're used to. It's only 9.5 feet wide. It's the narrowest house in New York City. It's 9.5 feet wide and about 30 feet deep. And you wonder, how do people live like that? Well, there's spiral staircases inside, so you don't have to worry about crossing back and forth and constructing big staircases. Originally, that was a carriageway for this house on the corner, 77, which is actually the oldest building still standing in the West Village. This dates from 1799. There's nothing particularly remarkable about it other than the fact that it's old. But so next door to it was the carriageway where they could bring the horses and the carriages into the back. And then in the 1820s or 30s, it was decided that it was too valuable property, so they built this little house. And it's been home to a number of famous residents through the years. Edna St. Vincent Millay, the famous writer and poet, who's kind of most associated with the bohemian element here in the West Village. And we'll talk about her in a minute when we go around the corner here and take a look at the Cherry Lane Theater. But she lived here for about 20 years. It's also been home to Cary Grant, the actor, Margaret Mead, the writer and anthropologist, also lived here for a time. And it sold last year. Anybody want to take a guess how much it sold for? More? $2.35 million. Sold in the fall of 2010. They actually were asking 2.6 originally, but because of the recession, they had to come down to 2.35. And you'll see in the window there, there's actually some building permits, so you can tell somebody's going to be doing, whoever bought it is going to be doing some renovations on the inside. So it just gives you a flavor of the architecture of this area. These buildings here, if you look at the way some of the bricks are laid out, for example, you could kind of see how old the buildings are. So if you look here at 75 and a half, you see how all the bricks are pretty much equal size in how they're laid out in the front. But if you look at the building to the left of it, which is 75, I believe, you'll notice how the bricks kind of go in different sizes. There's a wide one and then a narrow one, a wide one and a narrow one. That style is called Flemish Bond, and when you see that in buildings as you're walking around, you know that that is one of the older buildings in a neighborhood or in New York City, because that was the style that the Dutch used to build their buildings with. It's not, that building was not built by the Dutch. The Dutch were long gone by the time this was built, but it was the old style of doing things when they built buildings. And then as brick making and mortar got a little bit easier to work with, they started using the English bond, which is the same size everywhere else. So the one thing about the Flemish bond to note is the bricks, the narrow bricks are actually full-size bricks. They're just put in horizontally or vertically, depending on your perspective. And that just allowed it to be a more solid house, more solid construction. You could use less mortar, use less things to hold it together. But it made the houses thicker also. The walls had to be thicker. To get more space, once they were able to get all of the bricks to go horizontally, obviously you could have a few more inches on the inside. So that's Flemish Bond. And any questions? Nope. We're going to head around the corner here and talk about the Cherry Lane Theater.